Get ready for the show, it's about to begin. Pro fan talk when we dive right in. Sports talk, hot takes, ain't nothing we lack. We the real fans, nothing holding us back. Mic check, 1, 2, y'all know the drill. We bringing the energy, we keep it real. From touchdowns on liquid air, on the slam dunks on the court. Every sport, every game, we holding down the fort. We breaking down the plays, dissecting the stats. Pro fan talk, we keeping it fat. Debating with passion, no filter, no doubt. We the voice of the fans, we scream and we shout.
Hey, happy Memorial Day weekend. And I'm tripping because I have no lights on the scene and I'm all dark and stuff. What's happening? Happy Sunday to you. Happy Memorial Day weekend. So, getting it done. Getting it done. Uh oh. So, seeing what's going on. Hold on. Who was that? Nana Osei. Good morning. First out the limo. I appreciate you. It is very nice to have Eagle News. We talked about this a little bit last week. Me and Tone. Tone couldn't make it today. We're gonna pick it up next week. It's all good. Got a lot of stuff coming. And you know what? Let's just, get on everybody's bad side right now. I don't care. I don't care. Y'all know what it is. You see what that is in the background. They tried to stop it. They couldn't stop it. When that verdict came down, I probably laughed. I did a live stream once the verdict came down, and I must have laughed for about an hour straight, just giggling to myself. Because rarely do you see a situation where so many teams were actively trying to get something removed, not because it needs to be removed, but because they just not good at it, and they was pissed off because they couldn't stop it. And the team that ran it won the Super Bowl, and they mad. You be mad by yourself. So even, and I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was done. I thought um, I was thinking it was a good run by the Eagles. We had something good, and of course, the NFL wants to take it away for whatever reason. And I thought it was a good run, and I thought it was over. I had a couple memes on my Twitter page. You know, boys to men, it's so hard to say goodbye, stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, Jeffrey Lurie pulls a rabbit out of his hat, named Jason Kelsey. Now, I'd be curious to hear what Jeffrey Lurie was talking about for a whole hour while he was giving a presentation. A whole hour. You're gonna lose me after 10 minutes. So whatever you got better be damn good. And who do I want to listen to for an hour? That's the other thing. Just because somebody might be important doesn't mean they can speak. So whatever Jeffrey Lurie did for an hour, he had to keep that attention for an hour. He did it. He did it. Props to him. So, and then when they brought Jason Kelsey can get into the nuts and bolts of a thing, especially when you're talking about what the offensive linemen do in this play. Everybody named Mama knew that the whole aspect of it's dangerous and more prone for injury, that was nonsense. I think Jason Kelsey kind of got into that a lot, got into those weeds a lot. You're more prone to get injured on a regular third and short play than you would on this play. There's no difference. The risk of injury is always there. So for people to bring that up, they were reaching for stuff. So yeah, James, he wanted gone bad, but he didn't get it. Sometimes you don't get what you want. Sometimes you don't get what you want. But I will say this though, props to Roger, because I mean he the commissioner. If he really, really wants it gone and wants to circumvent the rules, he could do that. He could put a new mandate in, or you know, he could do what he wants to do. But he stuck it by the letter of the law, and they voted on it, and that was enough that didn't. want it gone, and that's all they needed. So, I mean, uh, don't be surprised if it gets passed next year. They do this every year. Like this is not a one off. This is not a every 4 years thing. This is like every year they have owners meetings. They vote on new rules and things they want in and out and all of that type of stuff. They do this every year. So don't be surprised if 2025 is the last year for it, because they're going to vote again next year. And you already know Nick Sirianni is going to be rubbing this in everybody's faces. Every team that voted against this, we go run a damn tush push first play of the game. Be petty like that. So, um, uh, you know we gonna try to rub it in a little bit because they picked on us because of it. They let Tom Brady get away with all of the bullshit that he got away with, and they didn't want to stop that. And all of the stuff that the Patriots used to get away with, you worried about Deflate Gate. Come on, how about filming people's practices and all of that type of stuff? Come on now, keep it a buck, keep it a buck. So yeah, James, it's all good, man. We playing good ball, and with AJ Dillon and Ty Robinson, you know, do we really need the tush push? Because I would think that we're gonna have a variation of it this year that doesn't break these proposed rules, and then everybody's gonna be really pissed off because we drafted Ty Robinson from Nebraska. You can go back and look at Nebraska last year. Um, they had a package where he was the fullback, so he's used to doing this. People forget that we had Big Jordan Davis back there in the backfield at one point in time. Now you got AJ Dillon squatting 680. You know what I'm saying? So we good. We're okay. And I would bet that Nick Sirianni, he got more than one way to skin a cat. Let me just say it like that. And everybody thinking it's going to be one thing and he might come out with something totally different. That can very well happen. And then that would be rubbing it in everybody's faces again. Even worse. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers stopped the brotherly shove, and the Cincinnati Bengals stopped the brotherly shove. But nobody bothered to go look at them tapes. Why can't everybody do it like that? Well, first, Tampa Bay, you got Vita Vea in the middle. He ain't moving. And if you ain't got a player like that, that's too bad for you. Because Vita Vea ain't moving if he don't want to move. But everybody ain't got a big Polynesian nose tackle. So it takes some things like that. I'd be curious as to what was that kid name? I don't remember where this kid was from. This kid was like 6'4", 400 something pounds. He was huge. And I think he ended up getting drafted in the late rounds because I remember seeing him in college. And it's like he was just absolutely huge. Can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. But that he would be the perfect person to stick in there. Like we gonna keep you on the team specifically to prevent this play. That's how I can see some teams getting that petty. Thank you, University of Florida. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew it was somewhere down south. They tried that already. Here's the problem with faking injuries. You'll get fined for that. You'll get fined for that. That's why they put those rules into place, John, where when you fake an injury, you got to get off the field and you got to stay off the field. You can't come back. You can't immediately come back in the game because remember everybody was faking injuries to get the free timeout. So they put rules in place so people couldn't abuse that because folks was abusing that. You get beat on the time is running out and you ain't got no timeouts left. So all of a sudden your defensive back pulls a hamstring. And then they take them out and then bring somebody else in. So what they started doing was they started following up on those people that got those injuries. And then if the NFL determines that it was some BS, they was getting fined for that. So you can't even get away with that like they used to. The NFL will balance it out. They will balance it out. I get on meetings and stuff like that. Um, where we talk about the rules and stuff like that. And I know the next time there's a meeting like this, we're gonna talk about the push, but we talk about this. The league talks about things like this constantly. I get on the Zoom call every now and then with Troy Vincent and about 40 other alumni just to listen, just to be a part of it. We can ask questions, all of that type of stuff. They are very open about it. They're very open about what they are trying to do and which way they're trying to push the game. They're not trying to hide it. They're trying to let everybody know this is what we're going to do. That's why I know we are going to have an 18th game. There is going to be a NFL style flag football that's coming. We talked about that, and I would tell people all the time if you got a daughter that likes football, there's going to be a female flag football league, and I would guess one day there's going to be a professional female flag football league. It's coming. It's coming. Too many girls like football. Too many girls want to play flags. So stuff like that is coming, man. And the NFL ain't messing around. That's another cash cow that they trying to cash in on, especially with Caitlin Clark and the uptick in women's sports with the W and what they doing now. Whether you like it or not, the visibility is there. And oh yeah, the NFL is gonna get that money. Don't get it twisted. So, big guy is Desmond Watson. Yes, Desmond Watson. Desmond Watson. I got to look him up because he was huge. Florida. 6'5", 464. The biggest guy I've ever been around. I forget what this guy's name was. It was my first year in the World League in Scotland. This guy he played with the Bengals at the time, so he was on loan from the Bengals. This guy was 6'5", 405. And I remember walking down Princess Street in downtown Edinburgh, Scotland. Now, mind you, in Scotland, the average size is probably around 5'5", 5'6". So me, I'm about 5'10" and a half. So even people my size, everybody was looking up at me, and I'm not what I would consider a tall person. This dude was 6'5", and when I tell you we were parting the Red Sea, like people would stop looking at us, like taking pictures and all of that type of stuff. It was crazy. And this dude is 464. It's ridiculous. 464. Philly, you are 100% correct, bro. You are 100% correct. Big doesn't always mean good. Just means you're big. So I would be very curious. I want to see what he does in OTAs and camp because I want to see if he can move. He had to do something if he got through Florida, and he a senior. He had to do something because Florida ain't, Florida got good pedigree. So you got to be able to at least do something. Now I've seen guys that have been big for the sake of being big, couldn't move, had no feet, all of that type of stuff. But he had to be able to do something if you played on the defense. So, yeah, he big. Don't always equal good, but I'm gonna assume that this kid had to be doing something. You don't think so? You don't think he got a shot? If he can move and he can, here's the thing though. Just think of Jordan Davis, right? Just think of Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis ran a 4.7 40 at the combine at 360 pounds, right? So just imagine if Jordan Davis lost 30 to 40 pounds, he would still be 320 and running a low 4.7 to 4.6. Now, this kid, if he loses 60 pounds, he's still over 400 pounds. He's still over 400 pounds. So let's say if he loses 60 pounds, let's say if he just gets down to 400, does his 40 time go down to a 5 flat? 400 pounds coming at you with 5 flat speed? is not anything you want to stick around for. Now, how long, he could keep that up? I'd be curious. They like somebody like that. They had to like, especially, and we talking years after the Corey Stringer incident. They gotta, keep tabs on his heart because I mean that blood flow got to keep pumping, bro. And that's a big body to be moving around. Big body to be moving around. 6'5", 464. If he lost 60 pounds, he would still be 405. Damn, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. He would have to lose 70 pounds to get in the 390s. That is ridiculous. He's 437. That's impressive. That's impressive. 437 in camp. And he still lose. So he can still what happens if he gets all the way down to 400? I like this is somebody I would watch. I would pull for him just to see him get down to just below 400 to see how he would move and to see how his body would respond. To lose 60 pounds and still be 400 pounds and can maneuver and operate in that's Larry Allen size. Now, I don't know if he's got his, maneuverability and strength and all of that type of stuff, but I mean, just to be naturally strong, you got to be naturally strong at 400 plus pounds playing football because your body has to be strong enough just to move itself around. So maybe we should wait till he gets cut, claim him off of waivers, and put him on the shove. I can see Howie Roseman doing that. I wouldn't be mad. Anybody with any type of speed, they can just dance and do circles around him. No cardio, no speed. Okay, that makes sense. However, let me see. Let me tell you where the benefits come in. Just like I was saying what I was saying about Vita Vea. You ain't moving him. You're not moving him. So if he's in the AB gap and you running off the center, soon as the running back gets the ball, he got to go in a different direction. So there's a benefit in not being moved. You might not have to get penetration, but if you in the path of the play, you're gonna have to go a different direction. So there's some benefits in that. There's some benefits in that. I'm with you, John. Carrying that type of weight in college is a miracle, but he did it. He did it. I don't know if he played all 4 years or all 5 years. I don't know what his story is. He only had 20 tackles. He had 6 solos, so he must be able to do something. Again, Florida's not going to have you on the field if you can't move. Period. They trying to win too. So they're not trying to, just, be on magazine covers. They trying to win ball games. And if this kid couldn't help them win ball games, he wouldn't be in the game. So there must be something useful about his skill set, period. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. So, that's a scary thought, man. That's a scary thought. But shoot, it's people much smaller than him, and the same thing happens. So last thing the Bucks need is another player to stop us. We'll see how they roll with it. We'll see how they roll with it. You know what? I'm trying to remember when I went to alumni practice last year. I don't ever remember seeing the Eagles practice the push. I've never seen them practice that in practice. I guess they do that when it's not public, but I've never seen them run that in an open practice. I've never seen it. I'd have to talk to Barrett and some of the other guys that go, Barrett and these guys that are about the news. They go to practice a lot. So I'm curious to see if they've seen a lot more than I've seen. Good morning, Tiffany. So how does family and friends, coaches, and the teachers not assist Desmond and not? That's not a lot of times. It's a little bit more. That's genetics. What does his dad look like? To me, that's like saying, what, did did they coach Jordan? Did Jordan Davis eat himself up to that size he is? No, because Jordan Davis was productive at Georgia. So sometimes it's just genetics. How come there's always, and go back to like sixth, fifth, and fourth, fifth, and sixth grade when you was a kid. There was always somebody in every class that was just unathletic, uncoordinated, no rhythm, like couldn't. If you tossed the softball to them, they couldn't catch it. If you asked them to kick a ball sitting still on the ground, they couldn't do it. Coordination and athleticism just wasn't in their DNA. It just wasn't. And why is that? I remember being in like second and third grade when I was a kid in Cincinnati. And there were always kids where back then they made us, we had a recess. We would go outside and play tag, play kickball, play four square, stuff like that. And we would always play kickball. And there was always girls and a couple of guys that did not have enough coordination to kick a ball. They just didn't have enough coordination to do it. And why was it people like that? Why was it people like that? So a lot of times, I'm saying all of that to say, a lot of times it's not just somebody helped them, or sometimes it's your genetics. Sometimes that's in your DNA. I would imagine somebody in his family line, or a lot of people in his family line, are huge. Are huge. You look at some people. You got one or two people in your family that's 6'8", 6'9". Well, how does that happen? I'm 5'10". How come I ain't? I thought I was gonna be about 6'3" when I was younger, because I had big feet as a kid. I was 12 years old wearing a size 12. I thought I was gonna be at least 6'2", 6'3", and then it just stopped. But my dad is like 5'9", almost 5'10". I'm taller than my dad. I don't know, things like that skip generations and stuff like that. But I'm just saying that clearly there's somebody in his family that he gets these genetics from. If it's his mom's, usually if your mom's side of the family, if you got men on your mom's side of the family that are tall and big like that, it's that stuff like that gets passed down. Stuff like that gets. You ever seen a tall man and a tall woman get married? Woman is like 6 foot, the guy's like 6'3", 6'4", and then they have a kid that's like 6'9", 6'10". Happens all the time. Happens all the time. So genetics play a big role in it. Now, whether he can move, I'm gonna assume that he can move if he got to Florida. I'm gonna assume that he can maneuver around if he got to Florida and had 20 tackles. So we'll see what he does. That'll be somebody to watch. So yeah, getting that big is actually a medical issue. Absolutely. I agree. But he's still playing. I know that. You think that the NFL is not going to watch that like a hawk? They'll be on top of it. But at the end of the day, he might not make the team, but he made it this far. He made it this far. He'll be on somebody's UFL team or something like that. So you never know. We'll see. I want to see what the kid can do. I would love to see a kid this big be able to move. And let's say he does get down to 400 pounds. Let's say he gets down to 350. Could he lose more than 100 pounds and still be 350? Can you imagine? The future with evolution, like 10 feet, probably, definitely. 80 years ago, average shooting like 5. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, some people, if you want to get the biblical times, how big was Goliath? How big was Samson? Questions like that. You know, it's crazy. But I remember when I went to college and I started filling out and I started being in the weight room like a college athlete does. And then you come home and I remember grown-ups saying to me, like, man, y'all so much bigger and faster and stronger. And this was in the 80s and 90s. And I remember getting those comments from grown-ups who were watching me. And now we saying the same thing for these kids. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Ty Robinson, what's his name? Miles Hinton, 6'6", 6'7", running a below a 5 flat. Just like, it's crazy. I didn't have a very good combine 40 time when I ran the combine. My combine 40 time was like 4.76. Now, when I had my pro day at my school, I ran a 4.48. So there's a big difference in that. But my point is at the combine in Indianapolis, I ran a 4.76. I think that's what it was, like a 4.76. Now there's defensive tackles and offensive linemen that are running very close to that time. Very close to that time. So that is amazing to me. Amazing. But let's see what they can do, man. Now, the one thing is happening. OTAs are about to start. OTAs are about to start. This is when you have the training camp battles. They're talking about this and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing with OTAs, because now we're at the time where everybody's fiending for something. Any type of information, any type of information on the Eagles, or like everybody wants to see something, right? This is where I tell people, like, hey, man, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Watch what happens. Mark my words. What's up, Cody K? Mark my words. Watch what happens. When OTAs start, and subsequently when we go to training camp, every little thing, every little play, every little catch, every little throw, every little drop, everything gets magnified to the nth degree. And a lot of people throw stuff out that a regular, mundane, good play, not a bad play, not a great play, good play. And they blow it up like, oh my God. I used to laugh, and I still do, because I guarantee they're gonna do it again this year. The quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy. You name any quarterback, and you're going to start hearing from camp. Oh, such and such was dropping dimes in camp. And then you see the video clip, and they just threw a regular old pass, regular old 10-yard out. Maybe they threw a deep cross or something. No defense. They just running routes. And all of a sudden, they dropping dimes. And it's like, oh, can y'all please stop? Can y'all please stop? I saw that in rookie camp. I don't know. Was it Dallas? I can't remember. But the caption was somebody was dropping dimes. And they just showed a video clip. It was a 5-yard out by the running back, basically a check down route. And the quarterback dropped back and throws it to a running back. So I'm guessing it was a running back drill, because usually the only reason the quarterback is throwing the check down is if he's with the running backs. Because if you running 7-on-7 or you running team drill, rarely are you going to throw the ball to the running back unless you working on a play or something like that. And I was like, why is that got to be dropping a dime? And people get so overzealous. They put way too much English on it, sweeten it way too much. And it's like, you gotta slow it down. It's not that serious. So what is this? 3-word mantra. So OTAs, man, is here's what OTAs is. OTAs is a time for your rookies to really get a sense of how practice is run, how this organization is run, understanding personalities of the coaches, your teammates, knowing where you are, getting familiar with your environment. How long does it take you to get to practice? where you living. If you playing for the Eagles, are you living in Philly or are you living in South Jersey? If you're living in South Jersey, you got to get used to coming over that bridge. And how early do you have to leave so you can get to work at 7 o'clock in the morning when you got to come over that bridge and you got to deal with rush hour? I don't know where you from. Maybe you don't know what it's like to come over a crowded bridge at rush hour in the morning. You got to figure those things out. And it's going to cost some people some money because it's going to be a couple of guys that take it for granted and they're going to be late to practice. So that might cost them $1,000. So things like that, and you just getting comfortable with your surroundings. Get comfortable with what time do you have to be in the locker room. Well, as soon as I get there, let me go ahead and hit the training table first, or let me get my ankles wrapped first, because this is where you just figuring it out. You figuring it out how everything flows. Do I want? There was a famous trainer with the Eagles. His name was Otho Davis. You mentioned anybody that ever played with the Eagles, or heck, even the Sixers and the Phillies. Everybody knew who Otho Davis was. Otho Davis was a big name in the NFL for his time as a trainer, right? I wanted to get my ankles taped by Otho Davis. So I know I had to get in there before the vets got in there, because everything ain't equal. If I'm sitting at the table and I'm a rookie free agent, but Seth Joyner's behind me and he the captain of the team and he got to get out there, you're going to take care of the captain first. I understand that. I understand where I am in that pecking order. But figuring stuff out, all of that type of stuff, man. That's what OTAs are for. Learning your personnel, know your personnel. I would imagine that there's going to be a lot more veterans taking participation, because now you got Kevin Patullo, a new coach, and you got to learn, even though they are familiar with him, it's still he's stepping into a new role and he wants to be comfortable. They want to be comfortable, and you want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So OTAs are important for teams with new coaches, and almost every team is getting new coaches in one way, shape, or form. Now, sometimes that manifests itself in different ways, again, for different organizations, depending on the position. If you got a new coordinator or a new head coach, OTAs are very important. OTAs are very important because, for the same reason, you got to get used to the man leading the charge. You got to get used to his voice, his cadence, what he likes. You got to understand when he's pissed off at you, when he's yelling at you, all of that type of stuff. All of that type of stuff. So it's a very interesting situation. But on top of all of that, you still got people watching that go a little bit nuts. So you just want people to just kind of dumb it down a little bit. And look for the common sense in things. If a quarterback is not having a good day, what is the offensive line doing? And once you find out what the offensive line is doing, what are the receivers doing? Are they running the right route? Are they going up against the starters on defense? Or are they going up against, kids trying to make the team? Makes a difference. If a quarterback's having a rough day or if a quarterback's having a phenomenal day, what's your competition? Will he have a phenomenal day against the ones in our secondary? Or does everything change up? I remember hearing the story, Deshaun Jackson, first time he watched Jalen Hurts. And you can find this online. And D-Jack said they went to Howie Roseman and was like, yo, this kid's different. He's different. So they saw something right off the bat. So I like to go to Jersey. I would never want to live in Jersey. They tax the crap out of you. One of the worst states to live in when it comes to tax. I'm not gonna disagree. But I wish I would have had more people showing me around in Philadelphia because I ended up living out in South Jersey, and I kind of wish I would have stayed in Philadelphia, but I didn't want to live in the city. My thing was I wanted to live close to the stadium. I didn't want to get out into the suburbs of Philly because I was not prepared for the school. And if you want to get out to the suburbs and all of that type of stuff where some of the guys live, I didn't want to live down by South Street and all of that type of stuff. And quite honestly, I didn't make that type of money. So I found a nice apartment down on Delaware Ave, and I was holed up down there. But I knew I wasn't gonna stay down there. So, it's all about where you're from, what you're looking for, things of that nature. But it was still a good experience, and um, I remember the best decision I made was staying in Philly that first year because I was 10 minutes from the stadium. I could walk to South Street if I really wanted to. Um, I was not one to always hit the clubs, and that just wasn't my personality. But I was close enough. If the fellas was meeting at a club or something like that, I'll meet you there. So I was close enough to be close. But if I had to retreat real quick, I was close enough to do that too. So you gotta live within your means and live. You gotta live your personality, if that makes sense. You got to live your personality, and that's the one thing that people, a lot of these rooks find out. It's a lot easier to do that now because there's so much information, and you legitimately got people looking out for you now, where that wasn't always the case when I was playing. If somebody could make you late for practice, and you wasn't a high draft pick, if your contract wasn't signed, it, yeah, you ain't. You got to choose who you hang with. You can't hang with these people because they got guaranteed contracts. They ain't going nowhere for the next 3 years. You, on the other hand, they can cut you tomorrow and have you replaced. So you got to be on your best behavior. So you can't hang with that. Um, you can't hang with that pay grade. So don't try to do that. And there's plenty of rookies and people like that get caught up in that life. They hanging with the big dogs. They hanging with the first round draft picks, and they go into all of these restaurants, dropping $1,000 on dinner, and it's like, bro, you don't make that much money. You gotta chill out. They millionaires, you a thousandaire. Let's keep it a buck. So all of that stuff comes into play when you uh, are trying to make a team. Trying to make a team. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting after all of that hoopla with Shador Sanders? And then I see the interview with Mike Stefanski, and he's got nothing but glowing things to say about Shador Sanders. And it's like, well, why the hell didn't you draft him then? You know what I mean? So it's funny how that works. And everybody had so much to say about that kid. And then you get into camp and it's like, it ain't what I thought it was. Maybe it's a little bit better. And I even said it back then with the whole situation. And I don't want to go down the Shador rabbit hole, but um, I would always say, do you not think that Deion Sanders schooled his son on what to do and what not to do? Everybody gets caught up in the stuff that they was doing in Colorado. And they forget one of the golden rules when you make it to the professional level. Don't get to your team that drafted you, or don't go in there thinking you can do the same shit that you was doing at your college, because you can't. And there'll be a vet that'll set you straight with the quickness. They don't care if you a first round pick or you an undrafted free agent. That they usually there's every camp, every team. There's always a guy in camp that a little bit too high on himself, that needs to be humbled, and he usually gets humbled. So the teams that manifests itself in different ways on different teams, but you always have that one person, and that's got to check him. Maybe he's a first round pick. He done signed his contract. He done signed his $15 million contract. Can't nobody tell him nothing. You're not gonna cut him. So you can. It's like a spoiled child. If you're not going to punish them, you get what you get. But a good team has good veterans that can step in and say, "Hey, young fella, let me holler at you. This is what you not gonna do." So you have good teams have that built in, and I think the Eagles have that built in. We had it with Fletch, we had it with Kelsey. Now we got it with Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson. Now we got it with Reed Blankenship. Now we got it with you know, Jalen Carter's going into his third or fourth year, whatever. Is it his fourth year now? Third year, right? But Jalen Carter is the de facto leader of that team, so he's got to step up. Not in his play, he's got to step up in the locker room because now everybody's looking at him, and it's not like he's not used to the pressure because he come from Georgia, so he's used to it. So yeah, John, Eagles do have a great culture. They have a phenomenal culture now. They have the type of culture where veterans on their last leg trying to get their last little contract before they walk away. They want to play with the Eagles because they want a shot. They want a shot at the ring. People take for granted how difficult it is to win a Super Bowl. We made it twice in 3 years, but people just think that it's, you can just add water and mix and you go into the Super Bowl, and people just forget, I guess because they, last 10, 15 years, you've been watching Tom Brady, and now all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes is doing all of these things, and they just think it's easy. And you got to remind yourself how good Tom Brady was, how good Patrick Mahomes is, how good Jalen Hurts is, and people are finding out that. And when you got somebody like, even now, people will still say, "Oh God, if I could trade Lamar Jackson for Jalen Hurts, I'd do that in a hot second." Really? When we got the guy that outplayed the best in the business twice. I saw that thing with Phil Simms, uh, where he was saying, you know, they don't want to say Jalen is elite for getting the 10 weeks of bad passing football that he had. And I'm like, yeah, people want to act like they forget the 10 weeks that Patrick Mahomes was the best thing since sliced bread. And what happened in the end? What happened in the end? People still concentrate on the wrong thing, man. So what's on Delaware Ave? What did I say about Delaware Ave? Oh, Johnny Hots. There was another place down there. Um, I'm sure it's long gone. They were down there um, when I lived on the apartments on Delaware Ave. It was a cheesesteak place I used to go to, and they had I think it was called Tanks, and they had a Cajun cheesesteak I used to always get. So yeah, they forget every time Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson plays like trash, and it's like people forget. Takes a team, man. Takes a team. Lamar Jackson did everything he could do, and then he threw the right pass to the right person, and that right person dropped the ball. And that's happened to us. I said this yesterday. I was talking about I was making a reference to what happened in the WNBA, right? And do people realize that the Eagles last year were 2 dropped passes from being an undefeated team? 2 passes against Washington and against Atlanta. Was it that first or that second week, I believe, against Atlanta? Saquon Barkley drops the pass that would have been probably a touchdown or a first down, at least on the goal line, from Jalen Hurts. It would have been a touchdown because we were on the goal line and we were going to go ahead and take the game, and we would have ran out the clock. It would have been a first down where we could have run out the clock and kicked the field goal, whatever it was. If he catches that ball, we win. Then later on in the year in Washington, Devontae Smith going across the middle. Jalen Hurts hits him. He drops the ball. That would have been a first down. And again, we would have in the middle of the field. We get the first down, we run out the clock. They're out of timeouts, I believe, and we run out the clock. We win the game. Two plays. Two plays separates us from history. There's only been one other team to go undefeated, and that was the 70 Dolphins, right? Don Shula's Dolphins. We were 2 plays away from that. Tom Brady couldn't even do that, and he had Randy Moss. They couldn't even do it. So you'd be surprised how many times you so close to greatness and people underestimate how difficult it is to achieve that type of greatness. The Bucks game, eh, that's fair. But you get my point. Am I a year ahead? No, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I am forgetting about the Bucks game. I am forgetting about the Bucks game. What's up, Carlos? You that's correct. You're right. My bad. My bad. I got selective amnesia. Selective amnesia. We would have been a one-loss team. So my bad. You are correct. How did I forget that game? I guess they whooped that ass that's so bad that I put it out of my mind. It's like Memento. Um, wasn't that the movie where the dude had multiple personalities and he was using the personalities to to bring out the killer personality, whatever? Yeah, yeah. And you know what? If you look at that Bucks game, I think wasn't the Bucks game the one the first play of the game, Jalen Hurts missed AJ Brown and it would have been a touchdown if he would have. I forget that game was weird. That game was weird. So, but we had opportunities, man. And all of these other teams that just, and I guess that's what's so annoying about all of these people that want to throw around elite and top 5 quarterbacks and all of that type of stuff. That's why it's so annoying, because up until about 3-4 years ago, the most important thing was winning. The most important thing was winning. Did anybody care that Trent Dilfer was part of one of the greatest teams in Super Bowl history with the Ravens, and what Ray Lewis was them doing? What's up, 3K? So yeah, you're right, Tiffany. AJ Brown was out that game. I think you are correct. Think you are correct. So, mistakes included. Good catch by y'all, but I just don't think people have a really good grasp of how difficult it is to win in the league. And having said that, how difficult it was for us to do what we did, how difficult it is for Patrick Mahomes to go 2 in a row, how difficult it was for Tom Brady to do what he did, whether you believe he cheated or not. So it's a hard task. Ask Josh Allen, ask Justin Herbert, ask Russell Wilson. He'd been there before. That is a difficult task. So when you just automatically talk about, yeah, we going back, we going to repeat. Let's get into camp first before we start talking about it. And I'm all for it. I'm all positive Philly, and let's make it happen. I do think I do think we are reloaded enough to where we can make a good run. But y'all know me. I don't put the cart before the horse. If we get to the playoffs, then I can honestly start talking about, yeah, this is a great team. Because even, and I've said this before, I don't think most people realize how close we were to being out of this picture. We were one play away from Jalen Hurts being taken out. That, if you go back and you look at that game in the snow against LA, when Jalen Hurts took that crazy tackle and had his knee bent back, I thought that was a wrap. And I was like, and we ain't getting another Nick Foles moment. I thought that was a wrap. But he popped up, shook it off, took his knee brace off, all all of that. I think he took his knee brace off before that, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. But like, I don't think people understand how scary that was and how an inch to the left, to the right, an inch forward, an inch backwards can make such a difference. One player gets hurt. Look at I mean, and let's keep it a buck. Look at what happened to Kansas City. They had the they had the injuries on the offensive line, and they got to move their best offensive line from one side to the other to help out their guard, and it cost them because we ransacked them. We exploited that weakness on their offensive line, and we took full advantage of it, which is what we were supposed to do. Because if just imagine if Jalen Hurts had gotten hurt and he couldn't play, what would everybody say? Not our fault. When Kenny Pickett took over, did nobody care about that? Nobody cares. So you're always one play away from glory or ruin, and it, oof, very close, very close. And we ended up, we got the coin flip. We won it because Jalen Hurts, his knee didn't bend back another inch further, another centimeter further. It bent back just enough to scare the hell out of you. But he popped back up and he finished the game. And he had a phenomenal game. And in spite of that, and in spite of his knee hurting, Matthew Stafford still couldn't beat us. Because our defense, team defense, our defense was that good. So I like to remind people of that. That's why I don't get. I still have a player's mindset. I still have a coach's mindset. No matter how big of a fan I will be of whatever. Even when I cover the WNBA, I'm the same way. I'm like, like you see some good things and some bad things, but you're gonna see that every game. So I'm not getting too far ahead of the race. I got to see some more stuff on the court. I need a bigger sample size. It's gonna be the same thing going into OTAs. It's gonna be some guys out there. They're gonna go gaga over a couple players. Like, oh, did you see what Drew McCuba did? Did you see what Ty Robinson did? Did you see what this guy did? Did you see what that guy did? Did you see Jahad Robinson? He looked good warming up over there. They're going to go nuts. They are going to go nuts. And but that's okay. Just pump your brakes. Use a little common sense. And try to stay logical. Try to stay logical. All right? People go crazy. So you want to see if Jahad Campbell is legit? Hod is legit. Hod is legit. Let him take his time. Let him get his shoulder together. Jahad is in the same situation like Nolan Smith. If Nolan Smith had not hurt his shoulder, you talking about basically the same player. Basically the same player. So you're welcome, Tiffany. So basically you're talking about the same player. It's Hod is, you know what? I ain't gotta say it. Go back and look at his tape at Alabama. Pick any game. Don't watch his highlights. I mean, you can watch his highlights, but I challenge everybody. And this is my challenge to all my subscribers and everybody that watches me on this channel. My challenge is before the year starts, before training camp starts, find a player on the Eagles or whoever your favorite team is. Find a player on that team and go back and watch his college tape. Watch his college footage. And if you can go watch games, watch games. Don't just watch highlights. That's one of my goals this season is I'm getting more into the X's and O's like I was a player. Because I want to get back to that level of knowledge in football. There's always levels to it. I know a lot of football. I can tell you some things just from what I see, but even just seeing that, and then I watch somebody like Greg Cosell, or I'll watch my former teammate Brian Baldinger, and I see how he breaks it down, and I watch Barrett Brooks, and I see how he breaks it down. There's another level that you can go knowing about the game, and that's where I'm trying to get to. So I encourage anybody, find a player that you like, find one of your favorite draft picks or whatever. If it's Jihad, if it's Ty Robinson, if it's somebody on the other team, go look at their tape and look at what makes them great. Look at, and this is why you got to ask yourself, watch the tape. And again, try to watch a game if possible, because I know you ain't gonna be able to find games on everybody. But if it's possible to watch a game, and then try to reverse engineer, like, why would somebody want to draft him? Because you're gonna see some good plays and some bad plays. And you might be in a situation where you're like, yeah, he just ain't got it. I remember I didn't you don't have the frame of reference that you have now after they're a draft pick. But I remember the first time I heard the name Ty Robinson was when they played Colorado. I was watching everything Colorado, right? Because I was following Prime and Shador and what they were doing down there. And when Matt Rule came to town with Nebraska and they whooped up on him, that's the first time I remember seeing Ty Robinson. So it was you can always go back and you can find those players and you can say, why did he get drafted? Why was everybody so hyped about him? Go back and look at Jalix Hunt if you can find tape on him. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you can find some stuff out about Hod, um, Miles Hinton, them three big ass guys we got on the offensive line. Go back and watch tape on them. Why did we draft him? What did Howie Roseman see? Because let's be honest, guys that's chosen in the fourth, fifth, and sixth rounds, you didn't know who they were. You wasn't paying attention to them. You didn't care. You just heard a name. It's like, oh, okay, it must be a good pick. And then you went off of the little 30-second highlight that they play on ESPN when they draft a kid. They got to bring up their profile and all of that type of stuff, and then you say, oh, he looks pretty good, and blah blah blah. And all we do is regurgitate the same stuff that they said on ESPN or whatever NFL Network, whatever you was watching. We just regurgitate the same stuff. I'm guilty of that too. I ain't gonna lie. You can't watch everything. You can't watch everything. So you got to get it together and try to do your homework. Yes, Alex, I agree. I agree. I wouldn't even say poor man's yet. I wouldn't say that yet. He's got potential, and I want to see it realized. Now, he might not be JJ Watt, but who is? You know what I'm saying? Who is JJ Watt besides him? Who is JJ Watt's comp? So, do you think bringing Joe Douglas is going to be impact? No, I think Joe Douglas is going to be. Joe Douglas understands where his bread is buttered, and don't get it twisted. Joe Douglas could have got another job somewhere else. Joe Douglas was good at what he was doing. Unfortunately, he took the job with the Jets. So you got to take the good with the bad when things ain't going your way. And that whole Aaron Rodgers, if anything, I'd be curious did Joe Douglas want Aaron Rodgers? That would be the question I would want to ask, because Aaron Rodgers was the catalyst of the fall of the Jets. Robert Saleh was a good coach, and because him and Aaron Rodgers didn't see eye to eye, he gets fired, and the Jets don't get nothing from it. And then all of a sudden, we get a cast off from the Jets and ends up being our starting guard. We move him from tackle to guard, and he ends up being a key cog in our machine on our way to the Super Bowl with Mekhi Becton. They thought he was a bust. What did we get out of him that they couldn't? Football field is the same length. Still 4 downs in the series. So why did we get so much out of him and they couldn't? That's coaching. Coaching matters. I don't think people talk about that enough. Coaching matters. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers ain't been good and all this nonsense. And But you know what? People keep placating to him. People keep uh, giving him the benefit of the doubt and giving him what he wants, and you get what you get. You get what you get. I hope, I hope that everybody that passed on Shador Sanders, especially the Steelers, and especially because the Steelers are dealing with Aaron Rodgers. I hope, I hope they have terrible seasons because you gambled on what Aaron Rodgers used to be. When was the last good season Aaron Rodgers had? 4 seasons ago? I don't know. You have to ask me. Hey, Philly, you 100% right. Everybody ain't gonna be a Tom Brady. Everybody ain't on that TB12 program. so, um, so yeah, man, it's just pump your brakes on the OTAs. Watch OTAs and watch. Look at OTAs like a job interview. Don't buy into the hype. Don't buy into even and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of content creation on both sides for every team. And you know what? Look at other teams and look at what they do with the content. And then you got to really ask yourself as a fan, what are you looking for from your team? What do you want to see from these draft picks? Because you already know everybody's not going to shine in camp. It doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of fans are quick to call somebody a bust or this or that because they don't manifest the way that fans want it to. Everybody thought Brandon Graham was a bust. What's the guy? This sucks when you get old. What's my man that we got rid of him last year? He used to get all the penalties on the defensive tackle. What's his name? Caused the fumble in the Super Bowl. It'll come up in the chat. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He used to get all the penalties. Sirianni was like, it's always something with that guy. I'm blanking on his name, but you know who I'm talking about. Thank you, Derek Barnett. Thank you very much. Thank you, Quentin. Everybody thought Derek Barnett was a bust. I was like, Derek Barnett is not a bust. Derek Barnett is not a bust. Even go back a couple years, good friend of mine, Mike Mamula. Everybody thought Mike Mamula was a bust. Look at his stats. He might not be what you thought he was, or he might not have lived up to his draft status, but he wasn't a bust. Derek Barnett wasn't a bust. Brandon Graham wasn't a bust. If Brandon Graham came out today, he wouldn't have been Brandon Graham. If Brandon Graham is playing for any other team, if it would have happened any other way in any other city with any other organization, Brandon Graham would not have been a borderline Hall of Fame, Super Bowl winning defensive end, 2-time Super Bowl winning. He was in the right place with the right people at the right time. And they, even when he wasn't producing, they stuck with him. There's a lesson in that. Everybody want to just add water, and you can't do it. You can't have instant stars. They didn't even have instant stars in the golden era of football. Back then, they used to develop quarterbacks. For as much as y'all, or as much as we say we hate the Cowboys, go back and look at Troy Aikman's rookie year. Go back and look at that. And then see what happened. What did he turn into? Because he took his lumps. Go look at Peyton Manning's rookie year. He took his lumps. Today's era, they don't want players to do that anymore. And it's a shame because there's lessons in loss. By that logic, Daniel Jones should be the greatest quarterback in the league. But oh my God. Yeah. Nelson Aguilar, Barnett, penalty-itis. That's funny. But it's all look at the stats, man. Look at the stats. We get too quick in calling people a bust or he's not the greatest ever, or like the conversations we have today because of social media and all of this kind of stuff. They get a little ridiculous. They get a little ridiculous. Again, you all know I cover the WNBA, and everybody's trying to make Caitlin Clark the best ever. And it's like, this is our second year. Can can we at least wait till she in her fourth or fifth year and see what she's done year after year before we put that type of accolade on her? And I'm saying that as a fan of Caitlin Clark. I'm an Indiana Fever fan. I'm a Kelsey Mitchell fan. So yes, I follow Caitlin Clark. But I'm like, pump your brakes. Y'all getting ridiculous with this shit. And they do the same thing in football. They do the same thing in the NBA. They do the same thing in baseball. All my people in the chat in the Philadelphia area that follow the Phillies. What were they saying about the Phillies the first 10 games of the season? They was ready to put the baby in with the bathwater. The Phillies suck. They need this, they need that. They ain't got no pitching. The bullpen still sucks. All of this shit, and it's like, good Lord, they play 140 something games in a year. Like, can they get the game number 25? It ain't even warm outside yet. And y'all bitch moaning and complaining. Just wait. Wait and see how it plays out. Now look at them. They got the best record in baseball, right? Now they playing like everybody wants them to play. And now everybody's like, oh, I knew it. You just, man, shut up. That's why I ain't got much to say until I see somebody play. I know that rhymes, but I ain't gonna push it. Just watch it, let it play out, and you're gonna see what's what. So, but all right, man, I'm gonna get up out of here. I got some stuff to get ready for. I gotta cook tomorrow. I got a brisket. I got a 14-pound brisket. I gotta go trim. I gotta get some chicken ready so I can put it on the grill tomorrow. So I'll be grilling on Memorial Day. I'll be doing some streams tomorrow. Don't be surprised if you pick me up on a stream tomorrow and you staring down at a hot grill. Because if I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna be going live outside from my grill. So I don't even know if I can do that. Will the Wi-Fi reach that far? I don't know. But so yeah, man, enjoy your Memorial Day holiday. Enjoy the time with your family. Y'all be safe out there. If you're gonna drink, stay home. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get full and get lit with the beer and the liquor and all that kind of stuff. Stay home, be safe. Spend the night at your mama's house or your grandmama's house or your auntie or your cousins, wherever you are. Just crash out. Don't drive. All right. Be safe out there. I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Yes, I am part of the brisket posse. I am one of them dudes that will be outside for 10, 12 hours overnight. I've cooked in 17-degree weather and the rain. I don't care. I'm a barbecue junkie. So I'm about to go prep this brisket, got to cut it up, trim it, get my grill ready, and I'll probably put it on tonight so it'll be ready in the morning. Cook it at like 225, 250, somewhere around there. So we'll see. So I'll have pictures for you tomorrow, that's for sure. So I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all enjoy your Sunday. Y'all be safe. Love y'all. Talk to you later. Go Birds.